Hello, this is Brian Tracy, and welcome to The Revolution. We've entered into the most turbulent time in all of human history, with changes happening more often, more rapidly, and more unpredictably than ever before. And the only thing we know about the future is that it will be faster changing and more unpredictable than the present. Your job is to learn how to survive and thrive in the months and years ahead, and this program is designed to help you do exactly that. I have studied, practiced, and taught in the area of human potential development for more than 30 years. I left high school without graduating and worked at laboring jobs, drifting from place to place until well into my 20s. The turning point came for me when I was about 24. I began to ask the question, why is it that some people are more successful than others? Why is it that some people make more money, have nicer homes and cars, enjoy better lives and relationships, have better health, and seem to get far more satisfaction out of life? And at the same time, why is it that the great majority are frustrated and unhappy with their current levels of achievement? Why is it that so few people realize their full potentials for living? The Bible says, "Seek and ye shall find, for all who seek findeth." Searching for the answer to the question about success led to my first breakthrough. I learned that if you could find out what the most successful people did in any area, and then you did the same thing over and over, you would eventually get the same results as they do. This idea is so simple that most people have passed it over without noticing it. Yet in every field, the people at the top were once at the bottom. When they were at the bottom, they studied the people at the top and they did what they were doing. As a result, they moved ahead rapidly and eventually they were at the top themselves. And their success had very little to do with luck or being at the right place in the right time. People create their own success by learning what they need to learn and then by practicing it until they become proficient at it. It's no miracle. This discovery that learning what you need to learn is the key to accomplishing anything you want to accomplish changed my life. I had been spinning my wheels in sales for a year. When I learned this secret, I immediately began interviewing the top salespeople, reading books written by the top salespeople, and listening to audio tapes produced by top salespeople, and attending seminars given by top salespeople. In one more year, I was at the top of my sales force and earning more money than I'd ever dreamed possible. When I became a sales manager, I applied the same principles. I talked to other successful sales managers. I read books on management. I listened to tapes and took courses on management. In no time, I had 95 people working for me, and I was in charge of 6 countries. And again, the amount of money that I was earning was more than I had ever expected, even as a successful salesman. Later, when I got into real estate development, I applied the same principles. I read all the books, articles, and magazines I could find. I talked to other people who were successful in real estate development. I attended lectures given by experts in real estate. I took courses and got a real estate license. Over the next few years, I bought, developed, leased, sold, and otherwise disposed of more than $50 million worth of real estate. I moved from a rented apartment to a condominium to a home to an even bigger home. I went from driving an old car to a new car and then to a new Mercedes. I went from traveling by car and staying with friends to traveling by jet and staying in the best hotels. And the incredible thing was that as I moved from city to city and from career to career, the same attitude toward learning applied in every case. And it will apply for you if you use it on a regular and systematic basis. Let me repeat. The great breakthrough in your life comes when you realize that you can learn anything you need to learn to accomplish any goal that you can set for yourself. Wow! This means that there are no limits on what you can be, have, or do. All you have to do is decide what you want, then decide what you have to learn and be able to do to achieve it, and then get busy. It may take you a week, or a month, or a year, but your success is inevitable using this simple approach. I became so impressed with the power of learning to change a person's life that in 1980 I began studying the subject of learning in greater depth. Along with my studies in sales, management, psychology, philosophy, history, and metaphysics, I also studied the workings of the human mind and the learning process. What I found was quite amazing. I found that instead of being boring, frustrating, painstaking hard work, learning was really enjoyable, entertaining, and highly effective. I began practicing some of the concepts of accelerated learning, including the use of relaxation, music, visualization, memorization techniques, and whole brain learning methodologies. I soon found that I could read, learn, remember, apply, and get better results faster using these methods than I ever could before. I became so excited with these ideas that I began teaching them in my courses and seminars. Soon others began to get the same results as well. Meanwhile, in England, an extremely successful entrepreneur, businessman, and intellectual, Colin Rose, was pursuing a similar path, focusing single-mindedly on learning and synthesizing everything that had been found over the years on accelerated learning into books and programs that anyone could use to dramatically increase the speed at which they learned any subject. Colin's book, Accelerated Learning, has become an international bestseller and has made him one of the foremost experts on accelerated learning in the world. And here is Colin Rose.
Hello, I'm Colin Rose, and I'd like to tell you how accelerated learning developed and what it will do for you. Over the years, I've spent literally thousands of hours pursuing my passion, which is the discovery of how people can use more of their phenomenal brain capacity. I've explored extensive research on the brain and on how memory works, on intelligence, and on how people learn. As a result, we've built the methods of accelerated learning into a system that's really practical and powerful. What emerged from my research is this proven fact. You learn best in a low-stress environment and when you can make best use of your personal learning style. If the way that information reaches you exactly matches the way that you prefer to learn, you'll truly be learning naturally. And when you're learning naturally, you're also learning easily, effectively, and quickly, which is why we call the method accelerated learning. We've applied the accelerated learning method to educational and personal and corporate training with, it's fair to say, spectacular results. An independent study showed that 10 times as many students got top grades using accelerated learning compared with those using conventional methods. A major US telephone company cut its training times in half using this method, saving over $1 million a year in the process. But the application of accelerated learning, which excites me most, is the one that you're listening to right now, a program that will teach you how to learn, and thereby reach your true potential. I have a goal which I'm determined to reach. I want to see everyone, from children to adults, acquire the tools and the motivation to realize their dreams. I've seen the incredible impact that accelerated learning has on people's lives, and I hope that when you've experienced it too, you'll be just as excited as I am about this dynamic breakthrough in personal achievement. So now let's return to Brian and discover how you can reap the benefits by joining this learning revolution.
It took thousands of years for man to pass from the agricultural age into the industrial age. The industrial age came and went faster than any other age in history, starting about 1815 and officially ending in the last few years as we passed into the information age. Throughout the developed world, we have moved from manpower to mind power. We have moved from the use of physical muscles to the use of mental muscles. Today, the chief sources of value in our society are knowledge and the ability to apply that knowledge in a timely fashion. In the information age, knowledge is king, and those people who develop the ability to continuously acquire new and better forms of knowledge that they can apply to their work and to their lives will be the movers and shakers and leaders in our society for the indefinite future. Peter Drucker says that the truly educated person today is a person who has learned how to learn continuously and throughout life. John Naisbitt says that the only real skill that matters in the world of tomorrow is the ability to learn what you need to know on a regular basis. Tom Peters says that continuous learning may be the only real source of sustainable competitive advantage for individuals and corporations. Peter Senge, who wrote The Fifth Dimension, says that only learning organizations, those organizations that are capable of taking in new information, adapting it, and using it faster than their competitors, will survive in the fast-changing, competitive world of tomorrow. It's been said that there are 3 types of people. There are those who make things happen, there are those who watch things that are happening, and then there are the vast majority who simply say, "What happened?" The great majority of people are walking around today saying, "What happened? What happened?" They don't understand that our society has gone through a fundamental transformation and things will never be the same again. We have entered into the information age, and knowledge is the raw material of production and value in this age. It used to be that the main difference between people in our society was between those who have more and those who have less. Today, however, the difference is between those who know more and those who know less. Wealth today is no longer contained in land, labor, capital, factories, fixtures, and raw materials, as it has been throughout human history. Today, the greatest single source of wealth is between your ears. Today, wealth is contained in brain power, not brute power. The most sophisticated and expensive multi-million-dollar factory can be rendered obsolete almost overnight with a change in technology. But this can never happen to your mind unless you allow it to happen. It is your ability to think that is your chief source of value. In fact, you are a mind with a body to carry it around in. Your house could burn down, your car could be stolen, your bank account could be looted, and your job could disappear, but you could still walk across the street, and by using your brain power, you could begin immediately to pump thousands of dollars per year into your life. A computer expert with the ability to create a $100 million empire in his mind could walk up to customs in New York with only the clothes on his back and say, "Nothing to declare." He could walk into this country or any country with $100 million worth of value between his ears and in terms of capital or goods have nothing to declare. This is an incredible thought. This has never occurred before in human history, and it will be the norm for the rest of our lives. Here's a question for you. What is your most valuable asset? In terms of cash flow, what is the most valuable thing you have? Well, unless you're very rich or have a family trust account, your most valuable asset is your earning ability. It is your ability to earn money. It's your ability to apply your knowledge and skill in a timely fashion to get results for which others will pay. All your education, knowledge, experience, reading, training, and work has contributed toward building up your earning ability. People who live in big homes and drive expensive cars are those who've concentrated an enormous amount of time and attention on increasing their earning ability. According to the research, the so-called rich in America and in other countries are almost invariably people who started from common beginnings, often with great disadvantages, but who overcame their backgrounds by investing an enormous amount of time and effort on developing their earning ability over the years. They have invested in learning more than others have about how to do the sort of things that the market was willing to pay them for. And you can do the same thing starting today or at any time. The future belongs to the competent. The future belongs to those people who stay ahead of the curve. The future belongs to those people who are engaged in a lifelong process of learning what they need to learn to do what they need to do in an excellent fashion. And if you're not moving forward, you are actually moving backward. No one is staying in the same place in the fastest moving society in all of human history. General Douglas MacArthur once said, "There is no security in life, only opportunity." And the great opportunity for you, an almost unlimited opportunity, comes from learning how to learn faster and easier, and then by doing it throughout all the years of your life. In the coming sessions, you're going to learn the finest methods and techniques ever discovered on how to unlock the incredible powers of your brain. You're going to learn how to become smarter, faster than ever before. You're going to learn how to become a master of your circumstances rather than a victim of your circumstances. You're going to learn how to take complete control of your present and future destiny so that you can accomplish and achieve anything you really want in life. The answer to almost every question in the world of work, the solution to almost every problem, is to learn and practice something new and different. And with accelerated learning techniques, you will be able to do this easier and faster than any of the people around you. By using the incredible power of your brain to absorb and apply new ideas and information, you will be able to genuinely lead the field and rise to the top of any profession or occupation. As recently as the 50s and 60s, it was common to believe that you finished your schooling, got a job with a large company, and stayed with that company for the rest of your life. This was based on the old paradigm of learning. In this old paradigm, life was divided into three parts. First, there were your learning years, where you got your education, however extensive or limited. This lasted until about the age of 20 or so. Then came your earning years. This was the period of time during which you worked until approximately age 65. After that came your yearning years. This was the period of retirement that would be paid for by Social Security, savings, and pensions. In this old model, learning was something that you did during your formative years, and then you never had to do it again. In the new paradigm of education and employment, a person starting work today can expect to have 5 full careers and 14 full-time jobs lasting 2 years or more over the course of their working lifetime. As many as 50% of people working today are in the first year of employment in their current jobs or positions. With knowledge doubling every 2 to 3 years, jobs are becoming obsolete at the rate of 30 to 50% per year. An engineer coming out of school today is better educated and more skilled with state-of-the-art tools and concepts than an engineer who graduated 5 years ago. Unless that engineer who graduated 5 years ago has kept current with the rapid changes in his profession, he can be replaced by a new graduate at perhaps half the salary he's receiving. There are many people today who are obsolete in their fields at 30 years of age. They bought into the old paradigm, and they've not read or kept current since they left school. Today, you must not only be asking, what is my next job going to be, but you must also be asking yourself, what is my next career going to be? Imagine for a moment that your entire industry vanished overnight, and you had to start again in a completely new business doing an entirely different job. What would it be? And don't think this question is speculative or that it applies to someone else. It's a question that you will probably have to deal with, and perhaps far sooner than you expect. In thinking about your new job and your new career, here are the most important questions of all. What skills do I have to have? What do I have to be absolutely positively excellent at doing in order to earn an excellent living in my new job and my new career? Remember, whatever got you to where you are today is not enough to keep you there. Unless you are continuously upgrading your knowledge and skills, you are becoming more obsolete each day. And if you're not happy with the results you're getting today, you must remember that the more you do of what you're doing, the more you'll get of what you've got. The first major paradigm shift that everyone must go through if they are going to become full-fledged participants in the information age is that of shifting from one-time learning to lifelong learning, from getting an education when you are young to getting an education all the days of your life. The second paradigm shift that is necessary for you to survive and thrive in the new world is that you must recognize that your most valuable asset is your earning ability. Just as you would take excellent care of an extremely expensive piece of equipment or machinery, you must take exquisite care of your earning ability. You must always be looking for ways to maintain it and preserve it. You must look for ways to enhance it and increase it. You must always be adding to your earning ability so that you can replace the inevitable 30 to 50% obsolescence that's occurring every year in your field. You must be continually upgrading your skills and replacing old skills with new ones. Every day, every week, you should feel that you are making forward progress in preserving and upgrading your earning ability. The third paradigm shift that has taken place in recent years is the shift from lifelong employment to lifelong employability. Many people are crying and complaining today about the fact that companies are no longer offering lifetime employment and security. But this is not a choice made by the companies. It's a choice that's forced upon companies by the competitive marketplace. Companies are laying off certain people and hiring others in order to survive, in order to stay alive in the most fast-changing dynamic economy that we've ever seen. Today, no one can expect lifelong employment, but you can create lifelong employability. This requires that you make an essential mind shift from seeing yourself as an employee to viewing yourself as self-employed. Earl Nightingale once said, "The biggest mistake you can ever make in life is to ever think that you work for anyone else but yourself." When I heard these words at the age of 28, I almost drove off the road. I was shocked. It was an overwhelming idea. I had always thought that my role in life was to go out and find someone else who would employ me and take care of me and give me a paycheck at the end of the week or the month. But from that moment onward, I knew the truth. I was self-employed. I was working for myself. In fact, you are the president of your own personal services corporation. You are the president of an entrepreneurial organization of one, selling your services to your current employer and receiving fees in the form of a salary or commission for the value and results of what you do. You are, in fact, on your own payroll. You are your own boss. Over the long term, you determine the size of your own paycheck. If you're not happy with the amount you're earning, you can go and find a mirror and negotiate with your boss for an increase. It's your investment in your knowledge and skills and your application of that knowledge and those skills that determines how much you receive, and you can increase your knowledge and skills virtually without limit over time. As the president of your own personal services corporation, you are in charge of finance, production, marketing, quality control, and distribution. You're also in charge of R&D, of continually upgrading the quality and quantity of the products you are offering to your particular market. You're in charge of your own training department as well. As the president of your own company, you should have an ongoing personal and professional development program. Each month, each quarter, each year, you should have a learning project. Just as you make out a plan for a vacation or a trip to the supermarket, you should have a plan for what you need to learn and how you're going to learn it. You should allocate a certain amount of money and a certain number of hours each day, each week, each month to learn what you need to learn so that you can achieve the goals that you want to achieve. The central purpose of this entire program is to show you how to learn those things you need to learn far faster and easier than ever before. From now on, by the way, when someone asks you what you do, you can tell them proudly, "I'm the president of my own company." When they say that they thought you worked for ABC Corporation, you can say confidently, "Yes, they're my best client." Remember, your current employer is merely your best client at the moment. You've not always worked for your existing client, and you will not always work for your existing client, but you will always work for yourself. You are the president of your own personal services corporation, and you are paid in direct proportion to the value of your services from the time you take your first job until the time you retire. And this is not optional. It's mandatory. It's not an idea where you have a choice. It's a fact, like the rain or the weather. And the sooner you accept it, the sooner you begin moving to the front in the information age. Today there are a series of buzzwords that are being used by companies everywhere. You can't turn around without hearing what I call the 7 R's. The 7 R's are first, reorganization. This means moving people and resources around in a company so that they produce more and better products and services. Second, there is restructuring. This means moving more resources to areas where they contribute greater value to the customer and discontinuing activities that customers are not willing to pay for. Third, companies are practicing re-engineering in a major way. Re-engineering is based on process analysis and the downsizing, eliminating, or outsourcing of lower value activities so that it takes fewer inputs to achieve the same level of outputs. Fourth, companies are reinventing themselves. They're continually looking at what they would do if they were starting over again today. They are looking into the future and determining what they have to do today in order to be a successful, profitable company 5 years from now. Fifth, companies are going through re-evaluation. They are looking at everything they can do to decide if this is the real business they want to be in. Sixth, companies are engaging in refocusing. Refocusing means concentrating their time, activities, and resources on the few things that they can do in an excellent fashion in a competitive marketplace. And finally, number 7, companies are determined to regain control of their financial destinies by becoming proactive and by making clear, specific decisions about what business they are really in and the direction in which they are going. Now, whenever you hear about companies going through the 7 big R's, you must remember that you are the president of your own company as well. The 7 R's apply to you personally just as they apply to corporations. You must be continually reorganizing yourself and your activities to focus on higher priority tasks. You must be restructuring what you do so that you are doing more of the things that contribute the greatest value to your current client and customers. You must be re-engineering your activities, continuously outsourcing, downsizing, and eliminating certain activities so that you can spend more time producing more of the things that make more of a difference in your life, both personally and professionally. You should be reinventing yourself every 6 months, continually thinking about what you want to do and be when you grow up. What is your next job going to be? What is your next career going to be? What do you have to change in your current world in order to be ready for the world of tomorrow? As an individual, you must constantly be re-evaluating yourself and every part of your life, recognizing that whatever the future may hold, it will be radically different from the present. You also need to be refocusing your mental, physical, and emotional energies on those parts of your life, both your family life and your work life, that are really important to you. Finally, as a result of applying the first 6 R's, you will have the experience of regaining control. You will feel that you are more in charge of your life rather than being battered around by the storms of fate and destiny. You will feel that you are a change master and that you are capable of learning the things you need to learn to achieve the financial security you want to accomplish. The deepest human need, according to psychologists, is the need for security, for a feeling of being secure physically, financially, and emotionally. Our greatest fear is to be deprived of our security. We fear failure, loss, criticism, embarrassment, disapproval, and so on, because they make us feel insecure and incapable of controlling our own lives and our own futures. In the world of rapid change that we're experiencing today, fears of insecurity are at an all-time high. Every change in the economy or new piece of technology that causes a change in our work or our lives makes us feel anxious and worried because we don't know what effect it's going to have on our feelings of happiness, well-being, and security. This is the primary reason why we fear change. We're afraid that we will be worse off after an unexpected and unpredicted change than we were before. This is also why we resist change. We think that if we fight the change, we will somehow be safer and more secure doing things the old way. But of course, this is a fool's game. There's no security in adhering to the old ways. The only security you can ever have is your ability to do a job uncommonly well. And what is required to do your job uncommonly well is changing and moving ahead every day. The way to achieve the lifelong security, high income, success, and prestige that you desire is to keep learning more about what you are doing so that you stay ahead of the curve rather than by being bowled over by the wave of change. Accelerated learning techniques are the tools you use to achieve your goals faster and with greater certainty than you ever could without them. Whenever you think about the things you want in life, in your personal life, your financial life, your career, your material accomplishments, like your home or car, your health, your family, your contribution to society, and so on, you realize that there's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. In fact, with regard to achievement, you are in the business of what is called gap analysis. Your job is to decide where you are and to decide where you want to go. You then analyze the gap between your current situation and your future desired situation, and you decide how to fill that gap. Once you've clearly defined a goal, you begin by asking yourself, what is holding me back from achieving my goal right now? What factors determine whether or not you achieve it in 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year? In other words, how do you bridge the gap between your current reality and your desired reality? In almost every case, you will find that your bridging materials are knowledge and skill. In order to get from where you are to where you want to go, you have to learn and practice something new and different. You have to learn new skills and abilities. You have to learn new attitudes and methods. You have to learn new techniques and practices. If you want to be a better parent, you must learn and practice better parenting skills. If you want to be a better spouse, you must study and practice relationship skills. If you want to earn more money, you have to determine what it is that people will pay more money for, and then get busy learning and practicing those behaviors. Harvard University's studies on motivation some years ago found that the experience of personal growth is one of the best of all motivators. When you feel yourself learning and growing and becoming more capable and competent, you get a natural high. You feel happy and exhilarated. You feel positive and excited about your life and your future. On the other hand, when people stop growing as the result of no longer learning new things, they begin to stagnate mentally. People who have stopped growing are far more prone to negativity, pessimism, fears, doubts, and anxiety. And you can throw these all off by deciding what it is you need to learn and by putting your whole heart into learning those things you need in a rapid, enjoyable way, as you'll discover in the sessions ahead. The good news, by the way, is that you are already an excellent learner. You have already learned thousands of things, starting from infancy. By the time you were 6 years old, you had learned to recognize and use more than 5,000 words with ease. You've learned tremendous social skills. You've learned how to play a variety of sports, to ride a bicycle, drive a car, be a husband or a wife, and how to sell, manage, negotiate, motivate, communicate, and interact with hundreds and even thousands of different people. In fact, as you will learn in the next session, you are actually a brilliant human being. You have mental capacities that are far beyond anything that you have ever imagined. Accelerated learning does not require that you become something more or different than what you are. It simply shows you how to become far more of what you are already capable of becoming by extending what you have already been doing naturally all your life to learn the things that you have needed and wanted to learn. Like myself, many people have had negative experiences going to school. Because the way of teaching was not consistent with your individual way of learning, you may have had difficulties with various subjects. You may have experienced underachievement and even failure. You may have experienced negative comparisons with others who were getting excellent grades while you were struggling just to get by in your classes. You may have gone through the agony of poor report cards, failed tests and examinations, repetition of classes and courses, and a general feeling of inferiority when it came to learning new subjects. Well, you're not alone. This just happens to describe the school experiences of about 70 to 80% of the population. Fortunately, we've learned more in the last 15 years about how the brain functions and how to learn well than we have learned in all of human history. And what we know is that our current methods of teaching by no means fit in with what we know about how the brain really works. They work for only a small number of students, and they leave the rest of the students undereducated and undermotivated. No wonder that most people leave school determined never to submit themselves to that sort of learning situation again. However, with accelerated learning, it's all different. When you practice accelerated learning techniques and learn the way you are uniquely designed to learn, you will be able to absorb and retain huge quantities of information. You will amaze yourself and everyone around you. In closing this session, here are the 6 principles upon which this course, and perhaps the whole rest of your life, is built. First, as I said before, you can learn anything you need to learn to accomplish any goal you want to accomplish, to become any person you want to become. There are no limits. Second, learning how to learn is the key ability, the core competence that makes everything else possible for you for the rest of your life. Third, anyone can learn faster, better, and easier than ever before by discovering how their brain and how their intelligences work, and then by structuring new information so that they can absorb it easily and well. Fourth, your intelligence is not fixed. Intelligence is like a muscle. It can be made to grow with use. This means that you can become far smarter and more mentally acute than you are today simply by engaging in the mental exercises that you will learn in this course. Fifth, to earn more, you must learn more. And since there's no limit on how much you can learn in your field or in any other field, there's virtually no limit on how much you can ultimately earn as well. And finally, number 6 is that you can achieve almost any goal, solve almost any problem, and overcome almost any obstacle in your life by acquiring the necessary knowledge and skill required by that particular situation. There are virtually no limits. The benefits you will enjoy in terms of greater income, greater security, greater prestige, more rapid advancement and promotability, greater self-confidence, and a greater feeling of power and control over your life are tremendous. Learning how to learn rapidly and well is the key to accomplishing any goal you could ever set for yourself. Specific knowledge and skills will become obsolete with the passing of time, but learning how to learn is a permanent skill that you can use all the days of your life. The people who learn how to learn faster, earlier, like those people who learn how to operate the first computers or learn how to become excellent in their fields before others, will be able to earn more in 1 or 2 years of work than the average person earns in 5 or 10 years. Accelerated learning techniques will enhance every area of your life. You'll be able to help your spouse and your children unlock and realize more of their individual potentials as well. You'll be a better friend in helping your friends to utilize more of their abilities. You'll be a better manager and develop the skills to get far more out of other people than ever before as well. Above all, in the sessions ahead, you will learn a new system for enhancing and enriching everything you do for all the years of your life. Now come with me, and in the next session I will show you why and how you are a potential genius. You are a potential genius. You have the mental capacity to be, have, and do anything you really want in life. By harnessing your amazing mental powers, you can accomplish any goal, overcome any obstacle, and solve any problem. We are learning more today about the incredible potential of your brain that has ever been learned before in human history, and all of it is good. The bottom line of the research that is now pouring in from all sides is that you have amazing powers that you have not yet begun to use. When you learn to use your brain power to its full potential, the things you will be able to accomplish will be far beyond anything you've ever done in the past. According to the Stanford Brain Institute, the average person gets by with about 2% of their mental potential. For some reason, most of us are keeping our mental capacities in reserve, saving them up for some great need at a later time. Your goal in life, your responsibility to yourself, is to become everything you are capable of becoming. In the information age, this means that your obligation to yourself must be to develop your mental abilities to the highest degree possible. And wonderfully enough, much of the pioneering work and research has already been done. What you will learn in this course is tested, proven, and practical. It works for anyone, anywhere, and under any set of circumstances. You are now able to get the bottom line results of decades of trial and error, and you will be learning proven techniques that will work for you as soon as you apply them. Your brain is an incredibly complex and capable piece of equipment, but it comes without an owner's manual. It is only today that we are learning how it works and how to get the best out of it. Your brain is like a supercomputer that's been delivered to you fully installed, but with no instructions on how to operate it for maximum effectiveness. This course will show you how. Here's the first breakthrough in our knowledge of the brain. It is a discovery that you actually have 3 brains rather than just one. Each of these brains has evolved after the other. At the base of your skull, you have a rather primitive brain, what is called the reptilian brain. It keeps you breathing and it keeps your heart beating. It tells you to fight or run when danger threatens. It also controls some of your more primitive instincts, like your sense of territory, which is why you start feeling angry or uncomfortable when someone moves too close to you. The next to evolve was your middle brain, a type of brain that mammals also possess. We call this the mammalian brain for this reason. Only recently have we realized how important this middle brain is to learning. Your middle brain controls your hormonal system, your health and immune system, your sexuality, your emotions, and an important part of your long-term memory. The fact that your emotions and your long-term memory are both controlled from the same middle brain explains something that we have all observed. When something involves strong emotions, it is usually very well remembered. You probably remember your first kiss, for example, or where you were when you heard someone significant had died. This also means that enjoyment and fun are important elements in learning because they involve positive emotions. Now make a fist with your hand. Wrap your hand over the top of this fist. If your wrist represents your primitive brain, then the fist is your middle brain and the hand wrapped over it represents your new brain. This third brain, your new brain or neocortex, is truly extraordinary. The good news is that this brain has all the capacity you will ever need to learn and remember anything you want, so long as you know how. The incredible capacity of your brain has only recently been realized. You have about 100 billion brain cells. This is a number that is almost impossible to visualize. It's 20 times the entire population of the world. A brain cell looks like a miniature octopus. The cell is in the middle. Branching out from that are tiny threads. Each time something touches or reaches one of your senses of sight, sound, or touch, it creates a thought or impression. It travels out from a brain cell and along one of the little branch-like threads. These threads are called dendrites, from a Greek word meaning branch. Then the thought crosses over to another brain cell along its branch. The process continues with perhaps thousands or millions of brain cells being connected in sequence, like a string of Christmas lights, all lighting up one after the other. This split-second mental chain reaction is conducted by electrical activity. Each time this chain reaction takes place, new connections form between brain cells. Some of these connections become permanent. That is why you can remember so many things without conscious effort, like riding a bicycle or driving a car. Here's the key point. It's not really the number of brain cells you have. It's the number of connections you make between those brain cells that determines how useful your brain becomes or how intelligent you really are. The big news from brain scientists over the last 10 or 15 years is that intelligence is not fixed. You become more intelligent the more you use your brain and the more stimulation you give your mind. Because the more you use your brain, the more connections you make between your brain cells, the greater is your potential for intelligent thought. You literally expand your brain through use. In a real sense, you are the architect of your own brain power. You can develop your own intelligence. Except for an injury or major illness, you don't lose brain capacity as you grow older. As long as you keep learning and seeking new experiences through hobbies, reading, work, sports, art, music, and so on, you continue to stay alive and alert. Your brain thrives on novelty, and it only declines with a lack of stimulation. The more you use your brain, the better it gets at virtually any age. On the other hand, the less you use it, the fewer brain cell connections you will make, and eventually your brain's capability will decline. The motto is, use it or lose it, and the choice is always yours. Now imagine that you're looking down on the top of your head and are able to see through your skull to the thinking brain within. What you would see is that the thinking brain, or neocortex, consists of two distinct halves. These are the cerebral hemispheres of your brain. The two halves are connected by a rich bundle of nerves called the corpus callosum. Each hemisphere, or half of the brain, tends to have its own style of processing information for learning. The left brain, for example, is the linear, logical, practical brain. It is responsible for speech, step-by-step logic, and numbers. Your right brain, on the other hand, is the creative, musical, emotional brain. It's responsible for melodies, patterns, and intuitions or feelings. Your left brain sees individual details. Your right brain sees the whole picture all at once. People who are more left-brained or linear prefer a slow, step-by-step build-up of information. Others, more right-brained people, prefer and need to see the big picture of the subject and have an overview so they can see where it all leads to. They need to see the picture of the jigsaw on the side of the box before they can begin assembling the pieces. This person is called a more global type of learner. When you listen to a song, the left brain will basically be attending to the words, while the right brain will be attending to the music. In addition, the emotional center of your brain, your limbic system, will be engaged. In other words, when a song is playing and you're paying attention to it, your whole brain is actively involved. Now think how comparatively easy it is to learn the words of a song. You probably already know dozens, maybe hundreds of songs from the past, yet you made very little conscious effort to learn them. Sometimes you can hear the first chords of a song that was playing when you were a teenager, and you will immediately remember the time, the place, the person you were with, and what was happening, and a whole lot of other things. This is because your brain was fully engaged when you were taking in the song and experiencing the emotions simultaneously. The conditions under which you easily learned song after song were that you were relaxed and stress-free. In accelerated learning techniques, you'll discover how to create the same kind of learning environment so that you learn other subjects at an equally rapid rate without stress or fatigue. A simple way to explain the difference between linear and global thinking would be to imagine someone you know. A total linear approach would be for you to build up the image of the person step by step. You would first look at the hair, then the forehead, the eyebrows, the nose, the mouth, the chin, and so on one by one. It's a slow, logical build-up of information in sequence. Of course, you don't do that. You glance at the person and instantly your capacity for global thinking enables you to see the pattern that represents that person's appearance. The result is that you immediately recognize the person. And here's the problem that arises in formal education. Most traditional educational materials rely too heavily on the linear presentation or slow, detailed build-up of information. The more global learners, most people get frustrated. They can't see where it's all leading to, so they get bored and switch off. Most of your formal learning experiences have tended to be based on the type of instruction that linear learners most enjoy. This is unfortunate for people who like intuitive, right-brain thinking. School rarely enables them to achieve their full potential. It's also sad for those who rely on a linear type of thinking as well. They have not been given the chance to develop more creative and intuitive styles of thinking. Have you ever had a situation where you were absolutely stuck with something new you were reading? You were unable to retain it? You were unable to maintain interest and concentration while you read? Try looking at the way you were approaching it. Can you identify your approach as linear or global? If you're a global learner, by using pictures, colored pens and pencils, a learning map, or a poster, you'll be able to represent the material to yourself and learn it far faster. We'll cover this in subsequent sessions. Understanding how your brain works is an absolutely essential part of accelerating your learning. Information entering your brain travels to the middle brain. The middle brain acts as a sort of central switchboard. It has a small appendage called the reticular cortex. If it decides that incoming information is worthwhile or important, it switches that information up to your thinking brain, where you notice it. This reticular cortex within your middle brain is not only a switchboard for incoming information, it's also the part of your brain that controls your emotions. When the new information is transmitted to you in ways that appeal positively to your emotions, you can learn well and remember easily. When what you are learning includes color, picture, games, and musical accompaniment, your emotions become engaged positively and you learn faster and better. The teachers and instructors that you remember the most were almost invariably the ones who were enthusiastic. Enthusiasm has emotional appeal. However, when negative emotions of fear, doubt, worry, or anxiety are present, your middle brain may suppress incoming information. If you're under stress, information may never even reach your thinking brain. It just gets filtered out. This is what happens when your mind goes blank. Stress involves, however, not only the worries and concerns that you are conscious of. Very often, people with poor previous experiences of learning feel unconsciously threatened by new learning experiences. This could happen to you. It becomes a vicious circle because when you feel you are poor at learning, you feel threatened. And because you feel under threat, your thinking brain receives less information and you do learn less effectively. If you feel insecure, less of your brain's potential is available. That's why when you're worried, you may suddenly come to realize that you've been staring at the page without taking it in. This is why you need to get into a calm, positive mood before you start learning. For you to function at your best, you must become actively involved in the entire learning process. Your entire brain, both left and right hemispheres, and your limbic, mammalian, and neocortex parts of your brain must all be involved in the way you approach and absorb new ideas. Throughout your life, you've often been exposed to a single piece of information just once and have remembered it for many years, if not forever. This was the case when your whole brain was functioning at its best. In the following sessions, you will learn method after method, each of which you can use to enhance your intelligence and accelerate your learning ability. By the time you are finished, not only will you be amazed at how good a student you are, but you will be delighted at the newfound pleasure that you derive from learning virtually anything you want, anytime you want to learn it. Now let's look at some of the specific reasons why and how you can begin to function at exceptional levels. Almost everything you learned effortlessly and without trying. You learned it through conversation, discussion, self-directed reading, fun, play, and interaction with others. You learned many of your work-related skills on the job as a result of experience, feedback, self-analysis, and personal application. These are all examples of informal learning. It's not uncommon for children playing on the street in multilingual neighborhoods to learn 2, 3, and 4 languages by the age of 5 or 6 without effort. They were so busy playing with their friends and involved in communicating with them that they never even thought that they were learning languages. Think for a moment about the things that you feel you are really good at, both at home and at work. How did you become good at these things? What were the various things that you did that enabled you to advance so rapidly? How exactly did you learn to become competent, skilled, or proficient in each of these areas? One of the great secrets of success is to find out what works and do more of it. The law of cause and effect says that there is a cause-effect relationship that explains everything that happens to you. When you begin to identify your dominant intelligences and your particular learning style, and you apply them to learning other skills and abilities, your learning will accelerate overnight. The one thing you can conclude is that you are already a very good learner. You have had to be throughout life. No one is born with the ability to walk, talk, function as a member of complex family relationships, create budgets, set schedules, count, sell, manage people, run a machine, use electric utensils, drive a car, read a paper, or anything else. These are all things that you had to learn by a process of trial and error. And the remarkable thing is that you learn them almost effortlessly. In fact, you probably forget when and how you learn most of those things. Now, you might say that that sort of learning isn't the problem. It's the sort of learning that involves textbooks, lectures, computers, and training rooms that is the challenge for you. It is your experience with formal learning, as opposed to informal learning, that has caused you to question your ability. This is the heart of the issue. Most of your learning has been informal learning. It's been based on exploration, and you've done it pretty successfully. In fact, most of the important things that you have learned in life, you have learned informally. To use a simple analogy, if you have the 3 numbers of a combination lock, having opened a combination lock once, you can open that or any other combination lock if you have the correct numbers. But if you don't have the right numbers, or if you have the right numbers but they're in the wrong sequence, you can spin the dial of the lock indefinitely and not get it open. This is the situation most people are in with regard to learning. To go back to the example of informal learning, you will probably remember that this type of learning involves discussing things with others, asking lots of questions, a process of trial and error where you experiment with new information and ideas, getting other people's reactions, watching and practicing, and getting some fun out of the process along the way. The preschool child learns just like this. He uses all his senses. He is free of stress. He has individual attention from the teacher. He's encouraged continuously, and he learns faster than at any other time of his life. Many adult skills are also learned in a similar way through trial and error, talking to others and asking questions. It's the formal learning process that tends to give us problems. Why? Because formal learning does not come naturally to most people. It's largely based on textbooks, lectures, and study methods, and we need to be taught how to do it. In a way, formal learning is a bit unnatural in terms of how we learn best and most effectively. It's natural, for example, to dance, but you need some training to be able to do a formal dance like a quick step or a waltz. Formal learning is necessary whenever you're confronted with the need to learn a large, complex subject with a structured body of information. You simply can't take it in a random and haphazard way. In addition, preschool and primary school children usually learn with a lot of love and encouragement. They explore, they learn through games, and they work on cooperative projects involving lots of different activities. It's fast, effective, and fun. Then the rules change. They go off to primary school. There's a sharp divide between the way they learned up till now and the way they're expected to learn in the future. Now they sit in rows. They are taught as a group and are expected to be quiet during the class. There is less group involvement. They are taught in more limited ways. And surprise, surprise, it doesn't seem to work as well as informal learning used to do. In one study, 95% of children tested between the ages of 4 and 7 were found to be highly creative, intelligent, curious, and interested in the world around them. After several years of traditional schooling, only 7% of the same children at age 15 were found to still be highly creative and intelligent. Those early years of schooling, using a model based on the Prussian system of 1830, turned the whole business of learning from an exciting, exhilarating experience to a boring, frustrating exercise that children only looked forward to getting out of as soon as possible. Why is formal learning more difficult? First, formal learning concentrates on books and lectures. These methods are effective and necessary, but by themselves, they're not enough for many people. You may remember being bored out of your head in school. I certainly do. Many people, as we'll see, don't learn well unless they can add more natural ways to learn to the conventional and formal methods of teaching. This course will teach you a variety of more natural ways for you to learn and to take in new information. The second reason formal learning is more difficult for most people is that many books and lectures are written in a step-by-step academic style. This style often comes across as artificial and boring. It's hard for you to concentrate because the material does not hold your attention. But fortunately, there are many ways you can restructure this type of formal learning situation so that it becomes more fun and enjoyable and far more effective. The third reason formal learning is more difficult than informal learning is because most of it requires you to work in large groups without much interaction or one-on-one teaching. This reduces the amount of individual attention, which is such a successful feature of most informal learning. The preschool child usually has the individual attention of his parents or another caring adult. The person at work usually has the individual attention of his or her boss and colleagues as he or she trains to do the job. The big problem most people have today is that they equate learning with formal, study-type learning. Because they were never taught to learn from books, lectures, and training sessions, many people lack confidence in their ability to learn formally. They then conclude quite wrongly that they are poor learners. The law of belief says that whatever you believe, with feeling, becomes your reality. The starting point of becoming a genius is for you to believe that you have the capacity to learn anything you want and to learn it at a rapid rate. Your attitude toward your ability to learn will be more important than all the methods and techniques that you can possibly learn in this program. If you absolutely positively believe that you have unlimited capacity, that will become your reality. It's a shame that so many people left school with so many bad memories and experiences. They started out into adult life wanting never to have to be exposed to education again. But unless these people change their thinking about themselves and their capacities, they have no future in the information age. According to the research, they will work at low-wage jobs marked by continued periods of unemployment and underemployment. You have to become a positive, optimistic, enthusiastic learner if you want to achieve everything that is possible for you. The power of positive expectations on your life and your future is quite incredible. If you expect to win, you most often will. If you expect to succeed, you will ultimately be a big success. If you expect to learn how to learn easily and well, then there is really nothing that can hold you back from doing it. The great breakthrough in psychology was the discovery that the amount of your potential that you use is largely determined by your self-concept, by the way you think and feel about yourself. If you believe yourself to be an outstanding person, capable of tremendous accomplishments, then that will become true for you. You will walk, talk, and act as if you had the qualities that you believe you have. On the other hand, if you're like most people and you are plagued by fears and doubts about your own abilities, these doubts will act as brakes on your potential. They will hold you back and cause you to sell yourself short, to settle for far less than you're really capable of. Your levels of performance and personal effectiveness are determined by your self-image, your self-esteem, and your self-concept. As you begin to think about yourself in a more positive way, you begin to accomplish even more. When we say that you can dramatically increase your intelligence so that you function at genius or exceptional levels, your first instinct may be to reject the notion. After all, you've been going on the same way for many years. The idea that you could increase your intelligence and your functional mental ability 2, 3, 4 times or more is too incredible for most people to even imagine. But here's another analogy. If you decide you want to learn to type with a typewriter or keyboard, there are 2 ways that you can do it. You can use the hunt and peck method, where you concentrate on the keyboard and you peck out the words with your forefingers one by one. With this method, and a little luck and persistence, you might get your typing speed up to around 8 to 10 words per minute. However, if you are serious about being an excellent typist, you could take one of the many touch typing courses that are available. If you practiced 1 hour per day for 30 days, putting your fingers on the proper keys, and following the instructions in the course, you could get your typing speed up to 30, 40, and even 50 words per minute. A good friend of mine took a typing course during the summer when he was 15 years old. Ever since then, he's continued to practice typing and now types 120 words per minute. He can type virtually as fast as he can formulate words in his mind, and he can type with his eyes closed, and he types perfectly without mistakes. Most secretaries and typists can produce 50, 60, and 70 words per minute without mistakes as well. Does this mean that they are 5 or 6 or 7 times as intelligent as the person using the hunt and peck method who is typing perhaps 10 words per minute? Of course not. It simply means that they have learned how to type properly. The same principle applies to using your intelligence. By learning to learn and practicing accelerated learning techniques until they become habitual, you'll gradually increase your ability to learn, remember, and apply by hundreds of percents. Intelligence is not just a matter of IQ, although IQ is one way of measuring intelligence among large groups of people. Intelligence is more a way of acting. If you act intelligently, you are intelligent. If you act stupidly, you are stupid, irrespective of your IQ. Now, if you agree that a person who acts intelligently is intelligent, your next question might be, what then would be an intelligent way of acting? And the answer is simple. Every time that you do something that moves you toward a goal that is important to you, you are behaving intelligently. Every time that you do something that moves you away from a goal that is important to you, or doesn't help you at all, you are acting stupidly. Intelligence is relevant only to your own self-selected goals and ambitions. Your level of intelligence is determined by what you do relative to what you want to have and become. What is an intelligent person? An intelligent person is one who works continuously and consistently on activities that move them ever closer to their goals. On the other hand, a stupid person is a person who either has no goals or who engages in activities that are contrary to achieving those goals. A person who wants to be financially secure and respected in his or her profession is one who works steadily to become better and better at their job and who applies their talents and abilities in the very best way to get the job done fast. This is an intelligent person. Every time you learn and practice something new and different that you can use to achieve your goals faster, you are acting with the very highest of intelligence. In fact, the more things that you do that are consistent with your goals, the smarter you become. Some of the most controversial scientific work being done today is in the area of intelligence and how intelligence is related to success. Based on more than 50 years of independent testing and surveys, Richard Herrnstein and Charles Murray have concluded in their book The Bell Curve that there is a strong correlation between the success that a person achieves in life and their level of intelligence. The smarter you are, the more successful you will be. If you increase your intelligence, you will increase your potential for success at whatever you do. Of course, these findings are a restatement of the obvious. We've entered into the information age where knowledge is the primary source of value. The person who develops the capacity to learn and apply more knowledge is going to be more valuable than the person who does not. In the age of manpower, people with greater physical strength were able to accomplish greater physical feats. In the age of mind power, however, people with greater mental strength are going to be able to accomplish greater mental feats and tasks. What this means is that you must do everything possible to enhance your intelligence, to become smarter and more competent at what you do. Fortunately, as I said in the last session, intelligence is not a fixed quantity. It is like a muscle. Just as you can build your muscles by pumping physical iron, you can build your mental muscles by pumping mental iron. By learning how your brain works and then by using your brain to its full capacity, you can become increasingly intelligent over time. The most important breakthrough work in the field of intelligence has been done by Dr. Howard Gardner of Harvard University. His research shows that you have not just one intelligence, but at least 7 intelligences. Your intelligences are really your natural talents, which you have to a greater or lesser extent. The first of the 7 intelligences, and the most common, is linguistic intelligence, or talent with language and words. This is the ability to speak or write well. Some people just have the gift of the gab, or they can write well. Many people like to read good novels or even write poetry. They have good linguistic intelligence. The second type is mathematical and logical intelligence, or talent with math, logic, and systems. This is the ability to deal well with numbers and to think logically. You probably know people who perhaps don't think of themselves as particularly intelligent, but who are razor sharp on adding up the odds on a bet or calculating percentages on sports scores. Engineers, scientists, and accountants would be very high in this intelligence. The third type of intelligence is visual spatial intelligence, or visual talent. This is the ability to visualize how things will eventually look in advance of them coming into reality, or to imagine things in your mind's eye in advance of creating them. Designers, architects, and artists would be examples of people with high levels of visual and spatial intelligence. You use this intelligence, by the way, whenever you use your sense of direction, or whenever you navigate or draw a picture. The fourth type of intelligence is musical intelligence, or talent with music. This is the ability to create and interpret music. It's the ability to keep rhythm. Most of us have a good basic musical intelligence, and we can all develop it to a higher extent. Think how helpful it is for you to learn a jingle or a rhyme. For example, do you remember 30 days hath September, April, June, and November? Or the song for remembering the alphabet? The fifth type of intelligence is bodily or physical intelligence. You use this intelligence when you move well, run, dance, build, and construct something. All arts and crafts use this intelligence. Many people who are physically talented at sports or good with their hands don't recognize that they are showing a very high form of intelligence. This form of intelligence is of equal value to the other intelligences. Think of the kind of money earned by sports stars who are absolute geniuses in terms of physical and bodily intelligence. The sixth form of intelligence you might have is interpersonal, or social talent. This is the ability to communicate well and to get along with others. Many people have a superb ability to make people feel at ease, to read others' emotions, and to be sympathetic to the feelings of others. This is also a vital human intelligence. This talent is used to the full when you are being a good parent, a supportive colleague, or a good teacher. And by the way, this is the highest paid intelligence in America. It is used by salespeople, managers, entertainers, public speakers, courtroom lawyers, and anyone who makes a living by influencing other people in any way. And it is very seldom ever measured or graded in school. The seventh form of intelligence is intrapersonal intelligence, or inner control. This is an ability for quiet, objective self-analysis. This intelligence enables you to understand your own behavior and feelings. You use this intelligence to create your own goals and plans, and to study your own successes and mistakes as a guide to future improvement. Dr. Howard Gardner has proposed that the definition of intelligence really should be the ability to create useful products and to solve everyday problems. Previously, intelligence was defined much more narrowly. It was mostly related to academic performance. Yet, academic subjects are largely taught through just 2 intelligences, the linguistic and mathematical logical. Academic success is indeed one way of demonstrating intelligence. In the real world, however, it is far from the only way. You become a genius by learning how to use all of your intelligences in the areas of your life that are important to you. People today are learning math through songs, chants, and jingles. They are learning by physically handling counters, by actually picturing the patterns that numbers make, or by working together in pairs through imagery, through colored charts and diagrams. And they are loving it. People are learning to write really creatively by using learning maps, which you will hear about later. They are making vivid mental pictures before they start writing. They are acting parts of their stories, and they are seeing the value of working in pairs. In the sessions ahead, you will learn how to unlock more and more of your intelligences to ensure that you learn how to learn in ways that suit your unique mix of capabilities.